So now we're going to look at number 13. We really rehashed some data in this test, some stuff about box and whiskers, which we had mentioned earlier in the year. We covered them again because they're so important and because I thought that we could have done a little better on the last test. So I really wanted to make sure we hit that again. Also some probability, which statistics goes right along a line with the probability. So number 13 talks a little more about that. It wants to know the mean of this particular data. All right. So mean means add them up and divide by how many there are. So in this case, it's 72, 80, 85, 93, 78, 80. I add them all up. I divide by 6. I get 81.33. I didn't even notice that it said to the nearest tenth. Oh, yes, I did. Here it is. I took the 81.33 and I rounded it off to 81.3. Okay, next, determine the median. Well, for the median, I have to put them in order, which I did. 72, 78, 80, 80, 85, 93. And remember, since there is an even number of scores, 6 of them, the median will be the average of the two middle scores. And in this case, both middle scores are 80, so that's pretty easy to get the average of 80 and 80. That average is just, ding, 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 80. Very good. Uncle Pythagoras, number 14. Nancy's rectangular garden is represented in the diagram below. How long's the walkway? Well, that walkway is the hypotenuse. The two legs are 8 and 15. This is a really cool time to have your Pythagorean triples remembered. 3, 4, 5, 5, 12, 13, and 8, 15, 17, to go with 7, 24, 25, and others, but those are the most popular. So if you remembered 8, 15, 17, you can go right to choice 1, pass go, collect your $200. But if not, then you can turn around and just say leg squared plus leg squared is hypotenuse squared. The first leg is 8, so it's 8 squared. Second leg is 15, that's 15 squared is the hypotenuse squared. 64 and 225 is hypotenuse squared. 289 is hypotenuse squared. Square root of 289 is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is 17. Okay, number 15. They talk about a rhombus in this figure, and I wanted you to be aware that a rhombus is a particular type of parallelogram. It's a very important type of parallelogram where the rectangles are, among other things, perpendicular to each other. But it also has the properties of a parallelogram, such as the angles that are opposite from each other are congruent. So if angle M is 72, so is angle T also 72. Okay. As a side note, what's the measure of angle A? Well, consecutive angles are supplementary. So I didn't write the answer down there, but the measure of angle A would be 108 because the two angles add up to 180, and 72 and 108 add up to 180. Number 16, A and B. Choose a letter at random from the word Savannah. What's the probability it's an A or an N? There's 8 letters here altogether, and I underlined all the A's and N's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So 5 out of 8 is the probability you pick an A or, and remember with or you always add up with probability. And you multiply, or and you add. Solve for y, very similar to what we started with today. Distributing the -4y plus 12, because -4 times -3 is a positive 12, equals 10y minus 30. Start with the smallest number of y's. Adding 4 y's to both sides, I get 12 equals 14y minus 30. Adding the 30 to both sides, 42 is 14y, dividing by 14, and I get y is 3. That's just an errant mark by the 42. That's not a negative sign. Number 17, accompanying diagram. PR is extended, angle S is 47, angle P is 58. Find the measure of angle SRP. Well, all three have to add up to 180, so the missing angle is 75. So just remember, 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180. I tried not to get too in depth with anything that we covered in today's lesson or late in the lesson the other day. I tried to keep it pretty fundamental. Okay, number 18. In the diagram of isosceles triangle, now it's very important that it's isosceles. That's what these marks here mean. It means the sides are equal and also those base angles, the angles across from the sides. So if angle A is 42, this angle inside at C is also 42. That adds up to 84. And if I do 180 minus 84, I get 96. Okay, another isosceles triangle guy where SU is congruent to NU. I have them marked off there. This time it tells me this vertex angle, this angle at the top is 30 degrees. So 180 minus 30 is 150, and because it's isosceles, that means the base angles are going to be congruent. So angle S and angle N, the base angles are congruent, so I do 150 divided by 2, and I get 75. Number 20, a set of data from an experiment is 36, 40, 40, 42, 44, 52, and 54. The mean is, add them all up, divide by how many there are. If you add them all up, you'll come up with 308. Divided by 7 is 44. Number 22, if the circumference of a circle is 14 pi, find the area in terms of pi. So look, cherry pie is delicious, C equals pi d. Apple pies are too. Area is pi times the radius squared. So cherry pie is delicious. If the circumference is 14 pi, that means that the diameter has to be 14. Well, if the diameter is 14, then the radius is 7. And that's what I plug into the area formula. 7 squared is 49, so the area would be 49 pi. It does say in terms of pi. So that's it. Don't go any further. Don't put in a 3.14 or 3.1416 or anything else. Just leave it as a pi. Okay? 22, Janet invests $7,500 in an account with compound interest that earns 9%. About how long will it take her to double her money? As soon as you start reading about doubling money and stuff, think rule of 72. 72 divided by 9 is 8 years. Number 23, distribute the 4 and then distribute the 5 to both sides. So 4 times 3x is 12x, 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, 5 times 2x is 10x, 5 times 4 is 20. Subtracting 10x, I get 2x minus 20 is 20. Adding the 20, 2x is 40. Dividing by 2, x is 20. I think that's pretty straightforward after you distribute. Okay, so I think you should be pretty good on x is equal to 20. Number 24. This time we have another figure, and we're asking for the area of this trapezoid. And I didn't teach you anything about formulas for areas of a trapezoid. So we're just going to figure it out without a formula, and that's easy enough, right? Because it's made up of a rectangle and a triangle. And we know the formula for the area of a rectangle is base times height or length times width. So 18 times 10 is 180. And then the triangle here is half the base times height. Now, if the top is 18 and the bottom is 26, that means the piece from A to E, the piece that's longer, has to be 8. And it already said the height was 10. So 8 times 10 is 80. Cut that in half and you get 40. So one area is 180, the other area is 40. Add them up, 220. Number 25, the probability of drawing a red marble from a sack of marbles is 2/5. Which set of marbles could the sack contain? Well, if I do the first one, 2 red and 5 green, that probability would be 2 out of 7. Number 3, oh, my dogs are going to bark because the train's going by. Number 2, 4 red and 6 green would be 4 out of 10. And 4 out of 10 does reduce to 2/5, so that's good. 3 doesn't work because it's 6 out of 21, right? If there's 6 red and 15 green, there's 21 altogether. And for number 4, altogether there are 2 red, 1 blue, 4 white. That's 7 altogether. Only 2 are red. 2 sevenths isn't what we're looking for. We wanted 2/5. They tried to trick you with 4/10, but you're too good for that. You're not going to fall for that. You know that 4/10 reduces to 2/5. Number 26, parallelogram, HIJK. Remember, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. This is a great example of just how important these pretests are. This is the very last thing we went over in the video. And it's the kind of thing that students can easily forget unless they come back to it again. So I made sure to include a question like this on the pretest so that when you see the one that's on a test like this, you're not like, where is he coming up with this from? The diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, which means that they are equal. So IK is getting split in half. I'm sorry, HJ is getting split in half by IK. So the x plus 40 has to equal the 2x plus 18. Solving that, subtracting x from both sides, 40 is x plus 18, subtracting the 18, X is 22. The actual solution is not difficult as long as you remember, this is the hard part, that the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. All right. Last but not least, what is the range of the data depicted in the stem and leaf plot below? So the maximum score and the minimum score, remember 4 and then that bar line, whatever you want to call it, 5, that means 45. The maximum is 8.3, which means 83. 83 minus 45 is 38 because range is highest minus lowest. So if you can get all of these questions right, you should be ready for 100 on the test, unless you're like me and you always make stupid mistakes, which I do constantly. So I'd probably get a 95 on the test if I took it myself. But for every question on here that we went over and you're like, I'm not sure how to do that, then you should assume that you would get that question wrong on your test. And for every one, it's 5 points off. So if there were 10 questions you couldn't do, that means you're getting a 50. Make sure you can do all of these questions. If you do them all and you get them all right and you're satisfied with the grade you're getting right, you're good. If not, reach out to me, reach out to a classmate, reach out to whomever you have to make sure that you can understand this material. Okay? Have a great one. Take care now. Bye-bye.